Inspired by reports of mysterious bridges around the world, where travelers have claimed to hear unexplained footsteps, ghostly voices, and witness strange apparitions. While the characters and specific events in this story are fictional, many old bridges have long been connected to local legends and unsettling experiences. For nearly 30 years, Daniel Brooks worked as a highway maintenance supervisor in a quiet mountain county. His job required him to inspect roads, tunnels, and aging bridges, often late at night when traffic was almost non-existent. Daniel was respected for being practical and logical. He never believed in ghost stories, despite hearing countless tales from local workers. Among all the places he inspected, one location stood apart from the rest: Blackwood Bridge. The stone bridge had crossed the Grey River for over a century. Built in 1912, it connected two isolated towns surrounded by dense forests. During the day, the bridge looked perfectly ordinary, but after sunset, most locals refused to drive across it. People claimed they heard footsteps behind them when no one was there. Others reported seeing a woman dressed in white standing near the center of the bridge, before suddenly disappearing. Truck drivers often said their radios filled with static every time they crossed it. Daniel dismissed every story as superstition, until one rainy October evening, heavy rain had damaged part of the bridge's guardrail, and Daniel was sent to inspect it before dawn. Around 11 o'clock that night, he parked his maintenance truck near the entrance and walked onto the bridge, carrying a flashlight and a toolbox. The river below roared loudly as rainwater rushed through the narrow valley. Halfway across, Daniel noticed something unusual. The sound of footsteps echoed behind him. Slow, steady, exactly matching his pace. He stopped. The footsteps stopped too. Daniel turned around. The bridge was empty. Only rain fell onto the ancient stones. Assuming it was an echo, he continued walking. Again, the footsteps followed. This time, they sounded much closer. He spun around instantly. Nothing. His flashlight revealed only wet stone, rusty railings, and thick fog rising from the river. Feeling uneasy for the first time in years, Daniel finished inspecting the damaged railing and hurried back to his truck. As he reached the driver's door, he noticed muddy footprints leading toward the bridge. The strange part was that they ended in the middle of the road. There were no footprints leading away. The following morning, Daniel mentioned the incident to an elderly mechanic named Frank, who had lived nearby his entire life. Frank quietly nodded. "You heard them too," he said. Daniel laughed nervously. "What do you mean?" Frank explained that many workers had reported hearing invisible footsteps for decades. According to local history, a group of travelers disappeared during a violent flood. Shortly after the bridge opened in 1913, their bodies were never recovered. Daniel still refused to believe the bridge was haunted. A week later, another emergency inspection was scheduled after several drivers reported seeing someone standing on the bridge at midnight. Daniel volunteered to investigate. This time, he brought two co-workers, Mike and Stephen. The three men arrived shortly before midnight. The bridge looked peaceful beneath the moonlight. They walked together, joking about the old legends. Suddenly, Mike stopped. "Did you hear that?" From somewhere ahead came the faint sound of a woman crying. The sound echoed through the fog. Stephen switched on his flashlight. Nothing. The crying continued, soft, hopeless, as though someone stood just beyond the mist. The three men slowly followed the sound toward the center of the bridge. Without warning, the crying stopped. The silence felt unnatural. Then every flashlight flickered at the same time. Daniel looked toward the river. Standing beside the old stone railing was the outline of a woman, wearing a long white dress. Her dark hair covered her face. She stood completely still. No movement. No sound. Mike whispered, "Who's out here?" The figure slowly lifted one arm, pointing toward the river. Then she vanished. Not by walking away. Not by fading slowly. She simply disappeared. The men searched every corner of the bridge. There was nowhere anyone could have hidden. Shaken, they returned to their truck. None of them spoke during the drive home. A few days later, Daniel visited the county library to research the bridge's history. Old newspaper archives revealed something surprising. In 1938, a newly married woman named Eleanor Hayes had disappeared while crossing Blackwood Bridge during a storm. Witnesses claimed she had been walking alone after her car broke down nearby. Her body was never found. Several years later, another article described multiple drivers reporting the sight of a woman in white standing on the bridge during rainy nights. The reports continued through the decades. Daniel began interviewing retired police officers, road workers, and nearby residents. Many described almost identical experiences: invisible footsteps, a crying woman, flashlights failing without explanation, vehicle engines suddenly stalling on the bridge before restarting moments later. Even more unsettling, the descriptions remained consistent despite the witnesses never knowing one another. One retired officer admitted that after responding to several late-night emergency calls at Blackwood Bridge, he requested never to patrol the area again. "I never saw a ghost," he said quietly, "but something there watches you." Months passed before Daniel returned one final time. He wanted closure. He arrived just before midnight carrying only a flashlight. The bridge was silent. The river flowed peacefully beneath him. For nearly an hour, nothing happened. Daniel smiled, convinced fear had influenced his imagination. Then he heard it again. Footsteps behind him. Slow, steady. He did not turn around. Instead, he quietly said, "If someone is here, I hope you found peace." The footsteps stopped. A cold wind swept across the bridge. Somewhere behind him came the faint sound of a woman whispering, "Thank you." Daniel slowly turned. The bridge was empty. For the rest of his career, Daniel continued inspecting roads across the county. He never again experienced anything as unsettling as Blackwood Bridge. Even after retiring, he refused to dismiss what happened that night. Today, Blackwood Bridge still stands above the Grey River. Modern guardrails have replaced the old ones, and thousands of vehicles cross it every year without incident. Yet local residents still avoid the bridge after midnight. Some claim they hear footsteps following them. Others report seeing a lonely woman, dressed in white, staring silently into the rushing water below. Whether these stories are nothing more than coincidence, imagination, or something science has yet to explain remains unknown. But if you ever find yourself crossing an old bridge alone on a rainy night, and you hear footsteps matching your own, whatever you do, don't look back.